In part 1 of our lesson on vectors, you will learn about the vector terminology we will use. First, you need to understand that a vector has magnitude and direction. And that's in contrast to a scalar, which has only magnitude. Another word you can think of for magnitude is size. So when we look at this picture over here, this is a picture of a vector. And the symbol right here, the little A with the arrow above it, the way you say that is vector A. And a vector has a starting point, which is called its initial point. And over here, it has a terminal point. The arrow of the vector indicates the direction that the vector is pointing. So the vector starts here at its initial point, goes this direction, and stops here at its terminal point. We can do what's called a scalar multiple of a vector. Remember that a scalar has magnitude only, meaning size only. So when we look at this example and we are being asked to draw vector B, which is equal to 3 times vector A. So this 3 is a scalar where A is vector A, so that is a vector. So to do a scalar multiple of vector A, where we're doing 3 times vector A, means we're going to go in the direction and magnitude of vector A 3 times. So let's look up here. Here's vector A. So to draw vector B, we would draw vector A 3 times. So say there's 1. That is vector A. It has its initial point here. Here would be the terminal point. Then at the terminal point of the first vector A, we draw another vector A continuing on in that same direction, so the same length here. And this would be another vector A. From its terminal point, we would draw one more vector A going in the same direction, one more magnitude there. So here's another vector A. There's the terminal point. Then this vector that starts here and ends here, that is vector B. Two vectors can be equal if they have the same magnitude and the same direction. Now, the way that you can tell that two vectors have the same magnitude when you're looking at them is that the length of the vectors is equal. And the way that you tell that two vectors are going in the same direction is that those vectors will be parallel to each other. So when we look at this picture here, we can see that vector u and vector v have the same lengths, and they appear to be parallel to each other. So in this picture, we can say that vector u is equal to vector v. Two vectors can also be opposites of each other. And what that means is that they have the same magnitude, but they have opposite direction. So once again, we know their magnitude is the same if they have equal lengths. And because they go in opposite directions, they will be parallel, but the arrows are pointing in opposite directions. And much like we do with numbers, we can use a negative sign. So in this picture, we could say that vector p is the opposite of vector q, or we could say that vector q is the opposite of vector p. Either one of these statements says the same thing. The vectors are equal in magnitude, but opposite in direction.